This is FIBA Podcast. Thank you for joining us in our morning daily devotion.
Dearly beloved, the Christian life is not easy. In fact, it is impossible. But it is also a life that is abundant. In John 10 and verse 10, Jesus says, I have come that they might have life and have it in abundance. The word abundance is in Greek perison, which has the nuances of being more than enough, beyond what is necessary, overflowing. This week, we will look at how we can live out this more than enough life. The church at Ephesus was Paul's beloved church, the one with whom he had a deep soul connection. This church lived in a multicultural, pluralistic, idol-worshipping culture, very much like ours. Acts 19 will tell you about it. As they let the life-giving Spirit transform their inward lives, the church at Ephesus challenged the powers of darkness that strutted proudly in the world around them, and thus they were drawn into spiritual battle with forces outside. Paul, writing to encourage them, reminds them of their identity. They are raised with Christ and sealed by the Holy Spirit. He reminds them of the mighty working of the power of God to raise Christ from the dead, and how that identity can be lived out by the working of the Holy Spirit in the inner person. The prayers of Paul in this letter throws light on how this would happen in a Christian's life. In chapter 1, he prays that they would know the immeasurable greatness of God's power. In chapter 3, he prays that they would be strengthened with power in their inner being so that they can put off their old self and live out the new self in everyday relationships. This, Paul is actually saying, would be impossible except for God's strength. Thus, Paul, having highlighted what God's power has done in raising Christ from the dead, prays for that power to be real in the believer's life, to play out in transformed lives and redeemed relationships. In the light of all that God has done for the believer and the high calling he has placed on the believer's life and relationships, Paul says in Ephesians chapter 6, finally be strong in the Lord and the strength of his might. Finally here, Paul's summing up of all that he's been talking about in the epistle to the Ephesians. The position of the Christian and the power at work in the Christian's life will achieve the high calling if and only if the Christian perseveres in the spiritual battle. Christian life, Paul is saying, is lived in the battlefield of the mind, and that this is a battle against principalities and powers of darkness at work in the world around us. But it is also the battle within the Christian who is now a spirit-raised, indwelt being. Dearly beloved, this week, let us re-look at how, in the words of the hymn writer Beverly, we can fight the good fight with all our might, Christ being our strength and our right, for only then we can lay hold on life in all its fullness so that it becomes our eternal joy and crown. Living out this Christian life is not a struggle. It's a spiritual battle for which God has equipped us with the power of salvation, of the truth, of righteousness, of faith, and the good news of peace, which we need to make our inner strength.
Dear listener, we are here to stand with you in your time of need. We want to pray with you and for your prayer request. Do you need someone to talk to? We are here for you. Call us or send a message at +91 636 425 2164 +91 636 425 2164. God bless you.